Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Headquarters, your headquarters where we talk all things entertainment. And right now, it's review time, and I want to review a brand new show that I didn't even know anything about. It just happened to hit Netflix on November the 30th. I didn't hear anything on its pre-production. I didn't hear anything on the plot. Didn't even hear anything about the cast. It just appeared and I seen it. It sparked me interest and I thought, let's check it out. And what I can tell you is it's a show that really just hits the mark in terms of over the top action, over the top cheesy comedy, and it doesn't take itself too serious. Now, the show is called Obliterated. It was created by John Hurwitz, Hayden Skolsberg, and Josh Heald. And the premise of the show is an elite joint special operations team is assembled from various branches of the U.S. Armed Forces and intelligence services to stop a deadly terrorist network from blowing up Las Vegas. They complete the mission and celebrate with a night on the town filled with sex, drugs, and alcohol. They discover that the nuclear bomb they neutralized was fake, so the team must fight through their intoxications to find the real one to save the day. So that is Obliterated. That's the basic premise of the show. And the show I found to be like a mixed bag. A mixed bag of 90s action throwbacks with over the top action, a cheesy humour, and the humour either hits the mark or it doesn't hit the mark. Trying to think. It has similarities to The Boys from Netflix, Amazon Prime. Obviously, that's based on like superheroes with a lot of gore, a lot of cheesy humor, and over the topness, but it works. And for me, that's what this is with Obliterated, except it doesn't have the superhero element to it. It's like I say, it's action based, it's action hero based, trying to recreate those moments from the 90s with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. It's basically like a tribute to them, and it kind of does it in a fun way. Uh, and the funny thing is, no matter how much you watch this car crash, this car wreck happening in front of you, you end up continuing to watch it because you want to see what's going to happen next. But let's get on to the characters. So each character has their own social issues, I would say, and their own plot within a plot. And they don't really go into much detail about them. They basically just throw them out there, and you just see them have to navigate them while also navigating trying to stop this real threat of this nuclear bomb that they thought they had neutralized, that is still out there in the middle of Vegas somewhere. Um, so the characters are, you've got Nick Zano. He is the actor, sorry. Nick Zano is the actor, and he plays Chad McKnight, who basically, he's a handsome Navy SEAL senior chief petty officer. And he's the ladies' man of the group. He's like the action hero wannabe of the group. And he'll shag anything with a pulse, basically. But deep down, he's a mama's boy, which was fun. Fun to see him like go out there up to the girls when they have this party, and they basically go to the hotel after they've solved this nuclear threat, or what they think's the nuclear threat, and they hire a hotel. I think it's the MGM Hotel in Vegas. I think that's where it is, and they hire like one of the huge suites up there, and they just basically have a massive party with anybody, everybody that you can think of, and he's basically shown himself up to be the macho man. All the women want him, and he's basically, he's like the heartthrob of the story. But underneath it all, he's a mama's boy. And then you have Shelley Henning, who plays Eva Winters. She's a CIA officer who she comes across as very uptight, and she's the leader of the group, and she's like kind of like a bitch in the beginning. Follows the rules, doesn't let up. She's a stickler for anything that doesn't go her way, and she'll do anything to make sure the mission's successful. But then you hear her backstory. It's her first major job mission since coming off leave after being away for a while, and so you find out a bit about her backstory, and then throughout the story you see a relationship develop with the character of Chad McKnight, and the chemistry between her and Shelley Henning and Nick Zanos in these roles is it was really well put together. And you see it develop throughout the show. After that, you've got Terence Harrell. He plays Trunk. He's Chad's best friend. He's his wingman. He is the muscle of the group, but he has a secret. And when the secret's revealed, it does create kind of this unwanted tension I felt between the two characters. This awkwardness, and he has his own comedy moments, like when he has his come down after the night before of and after the night of this huge party and getting crazy. He gets the munchies, which, if no one knows what the munchies is when you're hungover and you're starving and he wants to eat. And there's elements where everywhere he goes, he sees something where he wants to eat something. And the inner joke that keeps happening, he opens, say, a box of donuts and there's nothing in the box. So that was like one of the cheesy jokes that just kept on happening throughout the show. Um, but I really enjoyed that. And that's another thing about the show. I said it's a mixture of 90s and 80s throwbacks of action, but it also has elements of the Hangover series in this. Um, the next character is Paula Lazaro. She plays Angela Gomez, who's a badass sniper. She's a badass sniper, but she's also a very flirtatious lesbian that has the tendencies to go after straight women. And it's hilarious to see, and she always gets herself into these awkward situations. So that's explored in this, and she's also the peacekeeper of the group. She's also the one that always is the one that comes together and makes the group see sense throughout the show. But she's fabulous. I really enjoyed her character, and she reminded me a lot of Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez does a lot of action roles, and I've noticed a lot of her characters are very similar. And I felt as if Paula Lazaro, who plays this character, Angela Gomez, had a tint of Michelle Rodriguez. The next character in this, who I thoroughly enjoyed, was Eugene Kim as Captain Paul Young. Now, he's a US Air Force helicopter pilot. He's a very strict father to his daughter, and he feels tremendous guilt because of his job. He's doing good, he's an Air Force pilot, but he doesn't get to see a lot of his family, and he's feeling tremendous guilt over that. And he has a lot of the show's more unexpected funny moments. Sorry. He has a lot of the show's more funny moments you don't expect, because he's meant to be a very serious, dry character. But then things happen and it goes to the left. Um, One of the most funniest scenes is basically during this party. He's just standing there doing nothing, and he decides to take, I think it's either guacamole or hummus, which is laced in drugs, and he starts to hallucinate, and that's when the fun begins with this character, and it's an ongoing theme with him throughout the remainder of the show. Um, the next character is my least favourite character, and her name is Maya Lerner, played by Kim Rutledge. That's it. She's an NSA computer expert, and I'll be honest, I just found her completely annoying. She's basically your stereotypical geeky nerd character who basically is trying to come out of her shell. She wants to be one of the cool girls. She has a huge crush on the main character, Chad McKnight, and her plot is interwelded with him and obviously Eva Winter's plot. There's like a love triangle, which basically ends up being not a love triangle. It's quite, you can see it coming a mile away. Um, but wasn't for her. She didn't really do anything for me during the plot of this show. The next character is hilarious, and this is where you get a lot of the comedy moments and the outrageousness in the show. And this is the character played by C. Thomas Howell, and it's Haggerty. Haggerty is a US armed explosive ordnance disposal technician and master sergeant. He's just hilarious. He's just hilarious, and quite frankly, he's fucked up. And he lives a lifestyle fueled on drugs and alcohol. And his character could have easily fitted into the Hangover series, 100%. There's a lot of similarities with him in some of the plot points that happened in the Hangover series. Um, uh, I won't go into too much detail on the villains, because with the villains, they if I talk about the villains, I might give things away, and there's a lot of twists and turns within the villains of the show that I didn't see one of them coming. Some of them you kind of can, but a lot of the villains, the very much your stereotypical villains that you've seen 1,000 times in these shows. I see elements of nostalgic moments from True Lies, Under Siege, even Die Hard when it comes to the action and the comedy, and obviously the characters of the good guys, the action heroes, and the villains. The villains remind you of many of the villains that you've seen during those types of movies. You've got Russian villains, you've got, egomaniac American villains, and you've got, another villain that I thought, you could. I didn't in the beginning see coming, but when she does turn up, you are kind of like, oh, now things are getting good. Um, the action scenes, there's some very good action sequences in this. There's a lot of over the top blood spilling. There's a lot of over the top, one liners during the fight sequences. Um, there's it takes everything you expect from this kind of nostalgia show, because that's what this is. It's a very it's a 90s action throwback show. I've said it a few times, but it truly is. The one element that I haven't mentioned yet um, is the sex side of this. It's full of drugs, rock and roll, alcohol, and sex. Now, I was really, really surprised with how much nudity was in this show. Like, you get lots of breast shots, you get lots of dick shots, you get lots of, soft, I would say soft porn, basically moments in this. It virtually turns into a soft porn movie at one time. And there's a lot of surprising gags in this when it comes to the nudity and all of that element. Um, but I thought the writers did a great job in kind of putting this together. And of course, the setting fits perfectly for this show, Vegas, and they show all elements of Vegas in this show, and they highlight it in the most hilarious way possible. Um, the cast all worked very, very well together. They really, really did. I believe that they delivered some great performances. The humour, some people I don't think will get. Some people might be turned off instantly by this show. Some people may be offended by the nudity in this show. But I personally loved it. Like I said, it's one of them shows that it's so uh, slapstick, so goofy, so over the top, and has craziness all around that it's a car crash that you just can't turn away from. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. And the cast, like I say, did a great job. The action sequences, like I say, there are some very good moments, and it does have some blood. It does have blood in this. So for me, if I were to rate this, I would rate this probably closer to 6 out of 10. I would give this a 6 out of 10, which is more than average, I think, for a show of this type. I don't see them doing a second season, but saying that, anything can happen these days. Um, it's a show, like I say, that doesn't take itself too serious. It's a bit of cheesy comedy, cheesy action, but it's good cheese. So I would recommend this. It's on Netflix now. If you like a lot of breasts, lot of the day, if you like a lot of humour, a lot of comedy, and a lot of over the top slapstick comedy, check out Obliterated. It is a show I think is at least worth one viewing. So check it out. Until then, I'll see you at the next one. If you have seen Obliterated, let me know what you thought of it. If you haven't seen it, do watch it, then tell us what you thought of it. But until then, like I said before, I'll see you at the next one, and we'll see you soon.